Welcome back to News Nexus. Today we are diving into a crisis that is unfolding quietly but could affect every dinner table in America and far beyond. The story is called the New American Dust Bowl, farmland turning to desert. Many people imagine deserts as something distant, existing only in places like the Middle East or Africa. But right here in the United States, fertile farmland is slowly dying, transforming into dry wasteland. What is driving this change? Why is it happening now? And what does it mean for the future of food security? Let's explore this together. Nearly 100 years ago, the Great Plains were devastated by what history remembers as the Dust Bowl. In the 1930s, farmers plowed up millions of acres of native grasslands to plant wheat. At first, it seemed like progress. But when drought struck, the exposed soil had nothing to hold it down. Massive dust storms rolled across the plains, darkening skies for hours at a time. Families choked on dust in their own living rooms. Crops failed, cattle starved, and thousands of families were forced to leave their homes, many migrating west to California in search of survival. It was an ecological and human disaster that scarred an entire generation. Now, scientists and farmers warn that America may be facing a repeat. The difference is that today's Dust Bowl is slower, quieter, and more insidious. We are not seeing endless black clouds of dust sweeping across the continent. Instead, we are watching farmland slowly lose its strength, 1 acre at a time. Wells that once pumped clean water are running dry. Fields that once produced bountiful harvests now yield less and less. And in some places, dust storms are quietly returning. At the heart of this crisis is water. Beneath the Great Plains lies the Ogallala Aquifer, one of the largest underground freshwater reserves in the world. For decades, it has supported crops in Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Colorado. But this aquifer, which took thousands of years to fill, is being drained in just a few decades. In some areas, water levels have dropped more than 100 feet. In parts of Texas and Kansas, wells have already gone dry. Once this aquifer is gone, it will not return in our lifetimes. That means farmland that depends on irrigation will inevitably turn to desert. But water is only part of the story. The climate itself is changing. Across the Midwest and West, summers are hotter, droughts last longer, and rainfall is less predictable. When storms do come, they arrive with violent intensity, dumping torrents of water that run off the hardened soil instead of soaking in. The land is left even drier once the floodwaters recede. Soil, the silent foundation of farming, is also collapsing. Healthy soil is alive. It contains organic matter, roots, and microbes that hold it together and help it retain water. But decades of intensive farming, planting the same crops year after year, relying on chemical fertilizers, and tilling fields heavily, have stripped soil of its natural resilience. In many places, the ground has turned to powder, blowing away in the wind. In others, it has hardened into a crust that resists both rain and roots. Soil is more than dirt. It is the foundation of the food system. And right now, that foundation is cracking. For farmers on the front lines, the struggle is personal and painful. Imagine walking out into your family's field in Kansas or Texas, land that your grandfather planted and your father harvested. Instead of healthy earth, you find dust that crumbles in your hand. Your irrigation well pumps less water than it did 10 years ago. Your harvest is smaller, your costs are higher. You face heat waves, unpredictable rains, and storms that flatten crops overnight. Many farmers are reaching their breaking point. Some are selling their land, others are declaring bankruptcy. Rural communities are shrinking as young people leave, unable to see a future in farming. The consequences stretch far beyond farm towns. The American Midwest and West are among the most productive farming regions in the world. The United States doesn't just feed itself. It feeds nations around the globe. When wheat harvests decline, bread prices rise everywhere. When corn yields fall, the cost of livestock feed climbs, raising the price of beef, pork, chicken, and dairy. When soybeans are scarce, entire supply chains from Asia to Africa feel the shock. Consumers already feel this in the rising cost of groceries. Now imagine what happens if millions of acres of farmland are permanently lost to desertification. The environmental cost is equally devastating. As soils degrade, they release carbon that once was stored safely underground, worsening climate change. Dust storms reduce air quality. Wildlife habitats vanish. Rivers and streams dry out. We are not only losing crops, we are losing ecosystems. Is there hope? Experts say yes, but only if we act quickly and decisively. Regenerative farming practices such as rotating crops, planting cover crops, and reducing tillage can help restore soil health. Smarter water management, including more efficient irrigation and limits on groundwater use, could extend the life of the Ogallala Aquifer. Government policies that reward sustainable practices instead of overproduction could help farmers make the transition. New technologies, drought-resistant seeds, precision irrigation, and AI monitoring can stretch limited resources. And consumers can play a role too, by supporting local and sustainable farms and reducing food waste. But beyond science and policy, this is a human story. It is about families holding on to land that has been in their blood for generations. It is about rural communities fighting to survive. It is about whether America will preserve not just its farms, but its heritage. The Dust Bowl of the 1930s became a warning to the world. Today's slow-motion Dust Bowl is an even greater warning. If the richest, most technologically advanced farming system on Earth cannot protect its soil and water, what hope is there for nations with fewer resources? From Africa's Sahel to parts of India and China, desertification is spreading. America's struggle is part of a much larger global story. The new American Dust Bowl is not a single storm you can see on the horizon. It is a creeping disaster, unfolding acre by acre, well by well, season by season. If left unchecked, it will reshape not only America's economy, but the future of food worldwide. The question we face is simple yet urgent. Will we learn from history, or are we destined to repeat it? Thank you for listening to News Nexus. If you found this story important, don't forget to share it. Join the conversation and let us know. Do you believe America can reverse this trend, or is it already too late? Until next time, stay informed, stay aware, and stay connected.